So this weekend I'm reviewing 3 biopics. Jobs, which follows Steve Jobs, the amazing innovator who changed the game for technology. The Butler, which is about Cecil Gaines and the guy who changed the game for blacks in the White House. And then Lovelace, the deep throat porn star. Jobs follows Ashton Kutcher playing the role of Steve Jobs. We get to learn a little bit about his life. In the start, you get to see him presenting the iPod, the very first iPod, and you see him hold it up, and then you see his face in the reflection. I was like, this is a perfect way to start off this movie. Ashton Kutcher looks just like him. I can't wait to see what you got for me for the rest of the film. It's just not that good. The rest of the film it just keeps getting lower and lower. From the start, I was like, this could be great, but the film is just so messy. But first, before I get into that, I should have even said that, I'm going to get into Ashton Kutcher's performance. The guy is great. He nailed the role. I can really tell he really wanted to portray a good resemblance of Steve Jobs. He has the walk down. He's got the face down. I didn't know he looked so similar to him until the end credits were rolling and it showed a side-by-side picture, but he nails it, and I can tell he really wants to do a great job showing how great this guy was whenever he was around, and he looks like him. He's spot on with the look, he's spot on with the walk, and he's got ambition. For the rest of the people in this movie, not so much. Mostly of the people standing behind the camera. The screenplay to this film is absolutely horrendous. It's all over the place. There's different tones. At one point we're focused on this subject, and the next point we're focused on this subject. At one point we see an awesome conversation between Jobs and Bill Gates on the phone, and he's arguing with him because Bill Gates just copied Jobs in making a computer, and Jobs is like, I'm going to sue you. And I was like, are we going to get to see Bill Gates and Jobs face to face arguing? They have the suing storyline in there for about 10 minutes, and then it's dropped. Never comes back. The Bill Gates thing never comes back. I was like, that was such a letdown. You could have went that direction and that would have been great, but no, they touched on it, they dropped it. That happens a lot in this film. There's these things that they bring up and they never play on them, they just drop it, and that's such a lazy way of storytelling to me, and that's not Ashton Kutcher's fault. It's the screenwriter's fault and the direction, which brings me to the next thing. The cinematography is actually pretty good in this film. I was really impressed with some of the shots in this movie. I was like, this movie doesn't have a lot of substance, but the style of the film looks really, really cool. You get to see some cool sunsets. You get to see some really cool moments with Ashton Kutcher and his kids. But going back to the substance, it's so lazily done. And here's the thing with this film. It's a flat line. Throughout the movie, my emotions were like this. It never got to the point where I was like, oh man, this is getting real. There's no huge climax to where I was like, oh my gosh, this is crap's hitting the fan. I just never got really invested. It was really interesting learning about Steve Jobs, but it would have been better if I had some sort of a great investment in the film. Ashton Kutcher was good, the cinematography was good, but that's about it, guys. The movie is just not that great, and it felt like it was rushed. It felt like they threw this together, and it felt like they were cramming so much into this 2-hour-long movie. At one point, I thought it was wrapping up. I looked at my watch to see what time it was. The movie still had 35 more minutes to go, and whenever a movie has you looking at your watch, just not doing a good job. As the performances go, everyone did great. Ashton Kutcher was great. It really feels like an old-time movie towards the beginning, but as it keeps going, you're thinking, when are we going to wrap this up? Are we going to wrap this up? And then the movie just ends. It is one of the most abrupt endings I have seen in a film. Even the person next to me, I brought my friend, and he was like, is this the end? They started rolling the, this happens to Steve Jobs, this is when he died, and things like that, and he was like, this isn't the end, is it? I was like, this looks like it, and then bang, the director's name pops up, and I was like, wow, what an abrupt ending. There's no real climax, there's no real emotional, like I said, investment in the film. It's just a very forgettable biopic, and I just want to see what the next one is like, because I'm more interested in that now with the people behind it. With this one, like I said, guys, I could see how some people tried with this film, but ultimately the movie failed. I'm going to go 2.5 out of 5 for this film. Walking out of the movies, I was like, I don't remember hardly anything from this movie. Too long, too all over the place, tone is everywhere, it's a mess. 2.5 out of 5. Are you guys excited for this film? What are your thoughts on Ashton Kutcher taking the helm of Steve Jobs? Are you excited to see what he can do? And as always, guys, I'm the Modern Film Critic.